Welcome, Rink Rats, to the inaugural episode of the-Rink.com's Kraken Rinkcast, live from the COVID-19 studios in the quarantine bubble. Brought to you by puckhockey.com, puckhockey.com, puchcky.com. Head over there, get yourself some metal hockey wear, and throw yourself a rink t-shirt, rink hat, rink hoodie in there. More on that later. So anyway, today is Sunday, December 13th, 2020, and I am your host, Jeff Osborn, a.k.a. Gatekeeper and Puck and Hustle on Twitter.
My name is Jeff. It's Hefe, man.
And I don't want to, keep the formalities going here. I just want to introduce my guest. I have a guest here today. It's Brandon Seeley from the Kraken Crew. You may have seen him on Twitter. You may have not seen him on Twitter, but hopefully you will see him on Twitter and all those other places after I talked to him today. So how's it going, Brandon?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. So a little bit of background. Moved over to do the Kraken side of things this year. So I'm getting familiar with the Kraken fan base, and I noticed your site or in your Twitter account out there, and you have an Instagram, you have a Patreon, you have all that stuff. So give me a little bit of an idea, give me a little bit of a clue, give us a little bit of a backstory, the 5-minute version of what you have going on with the Kraken Crew over there.
Yeah, so the inspiration behind the Kraken Crew, so my first love, honestly, is the sport of football. And being in Seattle, even if you don't watch football, you watch football, you know who the 12s are. And so that's the inspiration, is the 12s. And it's been a few years. We knew a hockey team was coming to the city of Seattle. And obviously I didn't know what we were going to be called yet, but on July 23rd of this year, we got our official team name. So the day after that, on the 24th, I just came up with the Kraken Crew, and let's just see what happens with it. And I created a Twitter page, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, all that. And I just started posting stuff about, the potential team, and people just started showing up, and it sounds like, everyone's, for the most part, like on board, and you can feel the momentum building. It's kind of hard because, we haven't hit the ice yet. We're especially during the off season, but during bubble hockey, during the playoffs, we definitely had the following build a lot. So, I claim the first supporters group of the Kraken. I mean, no one else is doing it. We don't have any competition or anything like that. So hopefully, one day the Kraken Crew can become the identity of the fan base.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, that's and oddly enough, I noticed in your thing, you claimed on the 24th of July that's my wife's birthday. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Right.
A little background for me now for the Kraken fans, because we're going to kind of meld we're trying to get all the Kraken fans together here. Your Kraken fans, our Kraken fans, everyone together with this. I've always been a big fan of not always, I shouldn't say always. I've been a big fan of Seattle for quite a while. My wife and I spent our 10th anniversary of dating in Seattle because it was different. We had heard great things about it, and we loved it. We loved everything about it. It was it was one of our most memorable trips and everything like that. And it just so happens that a couple of years later that the NHL decided that Seattle was, one of the viable places to play. And I thought, what a great place. I can remember staying in our Airbnb and overlooking the Key Arena and looking at that and telling my wife that's where they play basketball, but if they were to play hockey, it would be there. And here we are a couple of years later, and you could see, in my background, the Climate Pledge Arena is the old Key Arena. And, it's really great. I like the name. Some people think it's a little hokey, it's, it can't be that it can't be a plural thing and all that, the Kraken is a singular thing. And some people, but I mean, I love the logo. I love the colors. It's a little different. Kind of like when the Sharks came in to the NHL, it was a little different. It was colors that people weren't really using before. So I thought it was a good fit, and I kind of wanted to move on from the Blackhawks beat for a while. I was tired of it. Just tired of a lot of things, and I wanted something new and fresh, and I wanted a fan base that the way I felt about it was that the fan base is probably going to be new, a lot of newer fans to the sport. It's not necessarily going to be all newer because there are many hockey teams that are minor teams in the area. But I think it's going to be a hungry fan base that's looking to learn. And that's what, my website at The-Rink, that's what we were trying to, teach fans, everything isn't all puppies and what, organizations feed you, because they feed you the good information. They don't try to feed you any of the bad information. And unfortunately, we got branded as kind of the haters of the Blackhawks, but we weren't. It was criticism that was just, and fans didn't want to hear it. And I got tired of arguing with people about it. So I want something new and fresh. And this, I think, is new and fresh. I think this is something that can, invigorate me a little bit. I've been covering the Blackhawks for 10 years, and it's just getting, it's a little old. The fan base is just getting be a little bit out of control with, with our denial and the way the team's going. So, I'm going to try and build this up for the next year. Another thing too, that I read on, and I was listening to, is that I think a lot of people didn't like that the Kraken was going to take like 2 years to play. But with this COVID thing, it's turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because if they were to start this, when this season starts, which is probably the middle of January, it would have taken a little bit of the shine off of of this brand new franchise. It would have been no fans allowed in. It would have been, a shortened season. So next, fall, hopefully there will be a certain amount of, it might only be 3/4 fans or half fans, but there will be fans. And I think that will be better for them. What were your kind of thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. I agree. It would definitely be, it'd be kind of weird to have your, inaugural season opening night and there's nobody in there. I mean, that'd just be weird. So it is a blessing in disguise that, they have a lot of time to get things right. They have a lot of time to, we have a lot of time to build the fan base, and hopefully, opening night, whether it's, half full, 3/4 full, hopefully the Kraken Crew can get in there. That's for sure.
For sure. Tell me a little bit about that logo you got behind you. Did you design that?
So well, it was in my head. Originally, so if you can see it, the hockey stick, at the top of the hockey stick, we had the top of the Space Needle on it. But I ran into some trouble with that. No hard feelings, but the Space Needle reached out. They're like, what you're doing. They follow the page. We love what you're doing, et cetera, but we can't let you do that. So like, oh, bummer. So I had to switch it up and just, keep it a regular hockey stick. But I did come up with, the emblem shield look with some kind of Kraken holding a hockey stick. And when I first posted it, like, a lot of people were like, oh, this is better than the original logo. Well, I'm like, no, I don't think it is, but for the fan base, I think it fits well.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as much as saying that, but it is a very cool logo. I was very impressed with it. I do a lot of graphic design and stuff. Actually, I do all the designs for the website and many other things too. And I really liked, it goes with the theme. It kind of fits. I know a lot of people feel this way, and I'll go this way. And if you're looking over on this side, I kind of melded the anchor logo. Was out there and just threw that in our little, all of our Twitter icons are kind of like different versions of the logos and stuff. As you can see, the S on the other side is most identical to the other one. But I thought they were cool ideas. It's simple, but it, has some cool little intricate details on it. And it's the same with your logo there. I actually grabbed the Chalutu thing on this one, which really isn't part of the logo, but I thought it looked cool. So I
like it. I like it.
Yeah. And so I like what they're doing there. There's some other things going on too, and just a little bit into what's going to happen on our website tomorrow morning. I'm going to have a big article, huge, almost 1,700 word article about the Kraken to kind of open up our Kraken division, and it gives a little bit of the history of Seattle and Seattle hockey, I should say, not Seattle the city, but all that stuff. And so sorry. Someone's messaging me. Yeah, so I got this article that's coming out tomorrow, and it's gonna have a little bit of, I learned a lot of stuff that I didn't know about Seattle hockey.
Okay, I'd probably learn a lot of stuff too reading it, honestly.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it took me going in and read and having to research this stuff to learn it. And let's be honest. I mean, there hasn't been a real pro hockey team, like pro NHL hockey team. There's been some pro teams in Seattle, and you'll see that in my article, which shocked me. But there hasn't really been like a pro like NHL team in Seattle. You've had Vancouver, which is just up the road.
Right.
And you've got you've got minor teams like in Portland and stuff like that. I honestly, I'm okay with the Kraken. I'm cool with it. Love it. I would have liked like the Thunderbirds or something like the Seattle Thunderbirds, but there's already Seattle Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
So I would have said, what about Firebirds, the Seattle Firebirds or something like that? That would have been cool too. But I didn't want like totems. Like, I don't think that seems, that's hokey.
Right. I actually heard a rumor about Firebirds being the for our AHL affiliate.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's in California.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I looked that up too. I didn't realize that until I looked it up.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Yeah, I definitely will, because a little background about me, I'm not from the state of Washington.
Okay.
So I've been here for about 10 years. I'm originally from Hawaii. Mm-hmm. So naturally, hockey is not a sport that we obviously grew up around, right? So it was always the football, the soccer, baseball, etc. And I joined the Air Force and I got stationed in Washington. So that's how I ended up here. And the Thunderbirds, it was just like back in 2011, 10 or something like that. The Thunderbirds were doing like some kind of ticket giveaway. And I'd never been to a hockey game before. Mm-hmm. And I won, whatever. I went to the game. And after that, like that was it. I was hooked. So, I would never call myself, a lifelong, hockey guy. I'm still learning every day. I have a bunch of, I call them like OG guys that follow the page that are always DMing me about, like rules and, I know the game, but I wouldn't call myself an expert. That's for sure. So I'm learning just like everybody else in this. There's a lot of people in this city and the state that, like you said, education. I mean, I'd honestly say like half of my followers come from like Sounders or Seahawks fans. Like they're on board, but they're not like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. So it's
I get it. They're trying to support the city. New sport coming in, but they're coming from another sport, and I get that. I understand that. Yeah. I mean, Chicago is a whole different thing. Like it's like New York. It's one of the biggest cities and oldest cities in the entire country. So it's a little different. We've had major sports in the city forever. So, but Seattle with the Seahawks, they've got such a rabid fan base up there. It's kind of crazy. It's like you don't even expect it, but there it is. And I've seen a lot. I'm not a footy soccer guy or anything like that, but like their support of the team there, I noticed that when I was there, their support of that team, like there's in Chicago, there's a very niche group of people that like, the Chicago Fire, and that's great. They're great fans and everything like that, but it's not a huge group of people. So, it's not as rabid as you see like with Seattle, but I'm happy for the city. I love the city, and I'm looking forward to learning things about the city while I teach people about the hockey and the hockey side of things. And that's kind of where my, so we're kind of like we're at the opposite ends of the spectrum, but we're kind of going to meet in the middle. I think that's the way I look at it.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So, I mean, have you ever played hockey, or are you just a fan? And
I've never played. I mean, I was a Division I athlete playing football.
Okay.
But, no, I never played hockey.
Well, there you go. I mean, I was a football player growing up. I never played I played organized hockey, but I never played like in school.
Right.
I learned to skate late. Um, I don't think I learned to truly ice skate until I was like 11, something like
Right.
that. And I was just playing with my friends, and I never went to like the high school I went to didn't have a hockey team,
Right.
and I wasn't going to go to like a Catholic school that has a hockey team around here just because my parents couldn't afford it. I was
Yeah.
I was much better at the time in track and football, and I just the school I ended up going to was really good with track and football, so that's where
Right.
I just continued on that
Sure.
path. But
Right. I'm here with the community that I'm building. Like I get DMs all the time about people reaching out that want to, help. I've had guys hit me up. I have a 4-year-old son, and they're like, "Hey, whenever your son wants to hit the ice, wants to learn some stuff, like let me know." So I think over time, like there'll be some perks of starting this fan base and people reaching out wanting to. Maybe I'll be on the ice one day.
yeah, well, and that's the good thing, and you'll find this out, and Vegas found this out as well, is that there may I don't know what the status is on like sheets of ice, like ice rinks around the city
Right.
in Seattle, but
Mhm.
it will expand.
Oh
There
yeah.
will be more. It will double or triple just because of being, having a professional hockey team in
Mhm.
Seattle. And that's great. That grows the sport, and that's wonderful. So,
Yeah, especially for the youth around the area. Like for example, just my son, like, we always watch football on Sundays, we watch soccer, but during bubble hockey, like he actually was like very interested. I know he's only 4 years old, but he was like, he thought it was the coolest thing ever. So, something like that can definitely, just, it'll, I think the momentum will definitely get bigger. And I think the community shows that they want a team. I mean, look at the season ticket holders. I mean, they sold out. I couldn't even get one. So I'm not a season ticket holder. I wish I was, but maybe over time. But so we'll see.
yeah, I mean, there's going to be time, and,
Oh yeah.
you could always just go to whatever, just go
Oh
to a
yeah.
handful of games. You got 40 to choose from per year. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a season ticket holder of the Blackhawks. I've got Blackhawks tattooed on my body. And I'm not a Blackhawks season ticket holder just because it
Right.
just doesn't work out for me.
Oh yeah.
So, it that doesn't mean you're not a fan. That doesn't mean that, you don't deserve to be, right in the heart of the diehard
Oh, yeah.
fans, man.
Mhm.
You jumped in, you saw something that you liked, and there you are. I mean, look behind you. You got all that stuff. Like, you've got more Kraken stuff than I do, and I'm running
Right.
the Kraken division here at this whole website. So,
Yeah.
that's good stuff, man. That's
Yeah.
really
We'll
good.
definitely. I'll definitely make an appearance. At least 10 to 15 games a year at a minimum. I'll walk in there with all my Kraken Crew stuff. I don't care.
Mhm.
Just start. I do that. Shoot, when I go to Costco, when I go to the store, like I'm usually wearing something Kraken.
Mhm.
And I live about 35, 40 minutes south of Seattle. And it's kind of rare right now to see Kraken stuff. I mean, we're not that far from the city, but I don't see it often. But when I see someone wearing, like, I go up to them like, "Hey, I like your hat, I like your shirt." Like, "Hey, thanks, man." I'm like, "Hey, here's a sticker." There's a
Yeah,
Kraken Crew sticker, and I just spreading the word.
that's awesome, man. I'm gonna yeah. When we get offline, we'll exchange addresses. I'll send you
Yeah,
some of my rink stuff that you can, some like rink stickers and stuff we have here.
yeah.
That
I'll send some
we can
your way.
exchange some stuff back and forth, because what I want to do, man. I want to make it a strong group of fans that all
Right.
stick together. Unfortunately, in Chicago, it kind of got to be a war between websites and stuff,
Oh,
between fan sites, and
right.
I think that it ended up being kind of a toxic environment, and I don't want from I don't want to go through another toxic environment like that. I want everyone to kind of be friendly, and
Right.
everyone to get along and hang out. And like, when my wife and I decide we want to fly to Seattle to see them play the Blackhawks or whoever,
Mhm.
or do a weekend where they got 2 or 3 games, like,
Yeah.
I'd like everyone to hang out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. If you come through, definitely hit me up. We'll hit a bar or whatever,
yeah,
watch
for
the
sure.
game.
And
And
the same goes for you, man. Like, if you ever decide that you want to come watch the Kraken and when they play the Blackhawks, like, I know all the good places. I know the good pizza joints. We know all
right.
that stuff. So it's like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
I've never been to Chicago, but my brother-in-law, he's from Chicago. So
there
I
you go.
kind of have a feeling like he's always posting about the Bears and the Bears, I hate the Bears. I hate being a Bears fan. Like, it's like that's what he talks about like all the time. So I kind of have an idea of how the fan base is, but I will definitely. Yeah, there's a few people down in San Jose, that reached out like, hey, if you ever come down, a couple people in Vegas have reached out. So, and to be honest, the fan base, like it's crazy. Like I've shipped out flags and stickers or whatever, and I've shipped them to like states that I never thought that I would ship them to. Like probably over 20 people in New York have ordered those flags behind me. I'm like, okay. And Montana, Louisiana, like it's crazy. Like it's a big, it's not just Washington, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you want. You want to grow this fan base and get your stuff out there. So it's
Definitely.
New York is kind of, it's slightly bigger Chicago. So it's like, it's very diverse, a lot of different people, a lot of, different nationalities, colors, and, they're very open, and they're very, not conservative, I should say.
Right.
They're open to a lot of things. And I've seen a lot of people that follow our website or follow me on Twitter that, are into the Kraken thing. And because I've been releasing more Kraken information and kind of following that and retweeting a lot of the Kraken stuff and getting, moving myself a little away from the Blackhawks. And I see people that are jumping on board. So that's good to see, because, the team isn't really going to be a team until they select players at the expansion draft.
Right.
And, but there's going to be so many people on board, ahead of that. So that's going to be really cool. Something that I'm going to mention in the article that I didn't know is that the Kraken isn't the first iteration of expansion in Seattle for the NHL. They actually agreed to start a team, I believe it's in the 70s, in Seattle, but it never came to fruition. And I didn't know this. It took them like 3 years, and a whole bunch of things happened, and loans weren't fulfilled and things like that. I have all the details in the article that I'm going to do tomorrow, but there could have been a Seattle team in the 70s, had the owner been able to, make good on all of his promises and stuff back then. So that was kind of unusual that I found out.
That's crazy. I just learned something.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
When I was researching the other day, that was the first I had heard of that. I'm 46 years old, and that's the first I'm hearing this. So, and I know a lot about the NHL, not everything. I'll never claim to know everything, but I know a lot about the NHL, but I didn't know that. But hey, you know what? Up until I just wish the St. Louis Blues for a little bit. I wish the St. Louis Blues hadn't won the Stanley Cup, because I could say Seattle has more Stanley Cups than the St. Louis Blues. So, but they won. That's fine. They earned it. So rag on them because they're like the arch enemy of the Blackhawks. So
yeah, I mean, so what are it's been a hot topic. I mean, what are your expectations? What is a successful first season for the Kraken in your eyes? I know it's hard with no players. Just
it's gonna be a lot like, and I'm gonna say this in my article, and I keep saying that, but it's gonna be a lot like Vegas, but don't expect them to go to like the Cup final, and they're because it was very unlikely. It was just a perfect storm of things that happened. They could very well make the playoffs in their first season, because they're gonna get a chance to grab some good players. And with this COVID thing, this is kind of another blessing and a curse with this team. Or it's a curse for a lot of people. It's a blessing for the team, because they're going to catch a lot of teams that are in salary cap hell, like the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I know there's other teams out there too. But they're going to catch teams that are in real cap hell, and they're going to end up acquiring players that normally they wouldn't be able to acquire, because the salary cap is going to be so tight. Right. So they're going to be pretty good. I think they're going to be pretty good. I don't think they're going to be as good as Vegas was. I think they may make the playoffs, last playoff season, and that would be a successful season for this team. And I'm very pragmatic. I'm very common sense based. I was the same way with the Blackhawks. Even when they were winning Stanley Cups, I'm like, guys, they're not going to win the Stanley Cup every year. Like, It's impossible for that to happen. And everyone's like, no, they're going to win every game 50-0. And
it's cup or nothing. Like what?
if you say the Blackhawks aren't going to win, you aren't a fan. And it's like, oh, come on. And that's the same way I'm going to be with the Kraken. That's why I want to, for the fan base, be like, let's be realistic here. They're an expansion team. They're not going to have Austin Matthews. They're not going to have Connor McDavid. They're not going to have these guys that are, top-notch elite players, but they're going to have a lot of really good players. Second, third line guys. They, sprinkle in maybe a first line guy here or there. They might not. And that's exactly what Vegas was. Vegas was a bunch of second and third line guys and some second and third pairing defensemen, a bunch of them. Luckily for them, players like Shea Theodore turned into be really good players, and they just lucked out on a lot of things. And
right.
So that, I think that's what's going to happen with the Kraken. They're not going to get blown out of the water, and they're not going to be last. So no. I just don't see that happening. So what about you?
I'm on the realistic approach as well. Like, a lot of people say, look what Vegas did, but you can't. I'm definitely not comparing, our first season to theirs. And I think we're going to be, competitive. Maybe a bunch of, young guys that, a change of scenery is a real thing. And some of these guys can really flourish, coming to Seattle. And like you said, the flat cap, you can tell, a lot of us have been watching these deals that these guys have been signing here recently, these 2-year deals, 1-year deals. And I think we can definitely scoop up some quality players, but I'm more of the, thinking long-term, just building that solid core one day. And hopefully the Kraken are, in the discussion for years to come.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's realistic. And you've got a arch enemy right up the street in Vancouver. So that's going to be fun. And anyone who's a Chicago Blackhawks fan that's now listening and watching is going to, is going to kind of laugh at this, because for a couple of years there, Vancouver was right up there with St. Louis as an arch enemy of the Blackhawks. There was some real bad blood with Vancouver. So, that's going to be fun for you guys, because Vancouver fans, they'll come at you. They will really come at you. There's some fan bases that are a little, that aren't as tough and a little on the meek side, but Vancouver is not it. Those guys are going to,
Oh yeah. When I started the Kraken Crew, like early on, probably like a month in, I was getting some DMs from Canuck fans. Like, Twitter's an amazing place. That's all I gotta say. Yeah, I think, I got some ideas coming for the Kraken Crew. I got this pretty cool poster coming. I won't give off too many hints, but I got a name for it. It's called the Battle of Blank, and I think a lot of people are gonna like it. Cool. I'll send you one.
For sure, man. That would be great, because I'm gonna need some Kraken stuff to hang when we get moved out of this house and I get a new office. I'm gonna have my Blackhawks stuff, but I'm gonna have my music, my heavy metal and music stuff on the other side. But I'm gonna definitely have my Kraken stuff in there too, because I want to hang in there with this team. So it's kind of rejuvenating me. It's making me go out there and work a little bit, because I got to do a little more, I got to do some research. I could rattle off, I used to be able to, rattle off anything you want to know Blackhawks right off the top of my head. It's not going to be like that with the Kraken. I'm going to have to pay more attention. And, that's kind of why I didn't go a more NHL approach with our website. Just overall NHL, because I get so focused on one thing. I don't know that I could totally, do the 32 teams. I don't think I could possibly absorb enough information to feel comfortable doing a podcast or something like that. I can do it with one team, maybe two. And I'm kind of actually going to be doing it probably with two, because I'm never going to stop being a Blackhawks fan, but I'm going to stop covering them, and I'm just going to be a fan.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I think the Crew, like where I'm coming from, building the fan base, and, that takes up a lot of my time. So I'm definitely going to be looking to folks like you guys that, can fill us in on, history, game reactions, player transactions, all that. Maybe one day, I'll have a podcast, maybe start writing some stuff. But in the meantime, the fans are my side of the house, I guess, if you want to say.
There you go. Well, if you ever need a place to write, I'm gonna need a staff of writers behind me. So
yeah.
I'm going to be pushing that for the entire season. I'm probably not going to be able to do this podcast every other week like we were doing, like I was doing the Rinkcast for Chicago. I'll do maybe one a month or something like that, depending on what kind of news happens.
Right.
But I wanted to get this thing rolling right now, get some people together and familiar and stuff. So you were mentioning back to the player thing, like you were that changes of scenery and things like that, and a player that comes to mind with Vegas was William Carlson. William Carlson was just a guy on the Columbus Blue Jackets. And then he gets, selected in the draft, in the expansion draft, and he turns into a 41 goal scorer and ends up making a ton of money. And that was just kind of a change of scenery kind of thing. So, that's a good example. I expect the Kraken to probably grab a bunch of defensemen just like Vegas did, because defensemen are always hot commodities. You can never have too many. And if you have too many, you can always trade them for other assets. So, that's kind of how I expect them to go. They could end up with some really good goalies, because there's going to be some goalies that are backup goalies. The teams aren't going to be able to protect young goalies. So I expect them to be able to pull some decent goalies. As far as forwards go, though, I think it's going to, they're going to be that gritty kind of team that, 3-2 wins, 2-1 wins, real close games. I don't think they're going to be a high scoring team, but you never know. 'Cause there was a question I put it out on Twitter for questions, and let me give the guy a credit. What his name was. His name says Ebenezer Spooge, but it's Tucker Harmon, at Tucker Harmon. He's a Seahawks and Kraken guy. He asks, what is your ideal expansion draft? And I thought about it, and I wanted to go out and research it, and I wanted to talk about it. And then I thought, the landscape of the NHL right now is probably going to be pretty different than what it is when the expansion draft happens. So for me to go out there and do all this research and look into it, I don't know that I could do it any justice right now. I can only go out there and some peripheral things, maybe some guys out on the, in over at the Athletic, they're doing some stuff like what guys could end up going over to Seattle in the expansion draft, but things are going to change so much.
Oh yeah.
They're filling space. I don't need to fill space. I write when I want to write, and I talk when I want to talk. So I don't fill any space. But they're definitely, there's a lot of articles out there, and there was one for I think each team of what players they could lose. Now, as far I can speak from the Blackhawks part of things, you may get a defenseman from the Blackhawks. They don't have a lot of forwards they can give up, a lot of young dynamic forwards that are even eligible. So they've got old guys that have no movement clauses that have to be protected. Then they have young guys that are not going to be eligible because they don't have enough experience in the NHL. So forwards are, and then anyone who's not in the NHL or was just drafted or hasn't been signed isn't eligible either. So you're probably going to see the Blackhawks, who have a plethora of defensemen in their system. I didn't say good defensemen. They have a plethora of defensemen in their system. That you're probably going to see someone like a Connor Murphy or Calvin DeHaan or someone like that, which they're good, solid second or third pairing defensemen.
Right.
They're valuable players. You're not going to see the Blackhawks goalie situation's a mess. So you're not going to see anything come. If the Kraken pick anyone from the Blackhawks, I would be utterly shocked. So you're not going to see, I would imagine you're going to see a defenseman. And now I'm sure Stan Bowman is also going to try and find a way to unload Brent Seabrook. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with the situation with Brent Seabrook, because you're not a Blackhawks fan. But for anyone watching, anyone listening, Brent Seabrook for the Blackhawks was great for a very long time, but he's getting old. He's getting near 40. Stan Bowman gave him a contract. It was kind of a reward for his career that really isn't the level that he's playing at right now. And I'm a Brent Seabrook fan. I'm a huge Brent Seabrook fan. I've got my only authentic Blackhawks jersey is Brent Seabrook's jersey. Back in the day when he was, when he was crushing people and scoring goals, and he did everything. He was a leader for the Blackhawks, but he's not really that anymore. He had a lot of surgeries this last year. He had hip and shoulder surgeries. He was already slowing down. He was scratched a couple of games. He's just getting older, and he's still got like 4 more years on this deal that he's got at like $7 million a year. He's not worth that, but Seattle can weaponize their cap space and maybe make a trade. Now, I don't know that this is necessarily will even happen, but I know Stan Bowman's probably going to try because he's got to get that money off the cap. So, the Blackhawks could say, hey, if you take Brent Seabrook in a trade and give us whatever, we'll expose someone or something like that. They can pull a deal like that. And maybe the Kraken could get a better player, a better defenseman or something like that out of the deal. And Brent Seabrook, which, he's a leader. He's a respected leader. He's a third pairing defenseman at this point in time, maybe even a seventh defenseman at this point. But the leadership, the rings in the room, that counts for something in the NHL. Guys who win championships and stuff. So that's kind of the hopes of Blackhawks fans as well. So
yeah, I can definitely see them, wheeling and dealing, trying to get, especially with that flat cap. I mean, teams might be more willing, to work with the Kraken, but I think with the Blackhawks, like a name that's been stuck in my head for a while. I know things will change, but like Connor Murphy, definitely, the size, the strength. I think he's a pending UFA as well. Can't remember.
He's got a couple years left. I have to look at I have a look at contract situation. He gets a bad rap in Chicago because of who he was traded for. He was traded for a beloved defenseman that the Blackhawks had that had a lot of miles on him. They wanted to get something of quality back before he really declined, and that's Nicholas Hjalmarsson. And because they didn't trade Nicholas Hjalmarsson for a younger Nicholas Hjalmarsson, because that's not what Connor Murphy is, the fans were all in an uproar about it. Connor Murphy is a fine player. He's tough as nails. For a while, for several stretches these past couple of years, the Connor Murphy was their best defenseman for a long time. So, he's just not going to score a lot of goals. He's not going to do anything really flashy. But if it's a defenseman and you don't hear his name being called a lot, that's usually a good thing. That means he's doing his job. He's not screwing up. So, yeah.
And not to switch topics, but another one that's floating around is, bringing in a homegrown player. And, the two names that come to mind are TJ Oshie and like Tyler Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And, everyone talks about the contract. That's the first thing, with TJ. But I mean, would they bring him in just to, do they need to do that to bring, the fan base, get them excited, homegrown kid? I mean, it's not like how old is he going to be? He's 30.
Yeah, he's about the same age as Jonathan Toews, so he's got to be in his mid-30s.
35, 36, something like that. But I think, I don't know. How do you feel about like bringing in Oshie, someone like Oshie, just, they want him to be the first captain of the team, et cetera. And
I actually think I'm not a huge TJ Oshie fan, but I could see where they're going with that. I mean, if you see what happened with Vegas, they brought in Derek England, and it was just kind of a PR move at the time when they did it, just, the homegrown guy, because he's from Vegas and all that stuff. But with the stuff that happened with the shooting, just, days before they opened up the season and all that stuff, it rolled into this thing. And Derek England became a hero in the city. The hometown guy comes home, the prodigal son comes home and all that stuff, and leads the, you know, does the speech before the game and all that stuff. It kind of worked out for him with all that. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. And there's a lot worse players you could have in there than TJ Oshie. He's a good player. He's a talented player. So, you know, you put him in there, he gets rejuvenated because he's home. You might get, you know, 35 goals out of him, and it's not bad.
No.
So, you know, that's I'm on board with it. Anything that, you know, gets the fans interested. I don't know that you necessarily have to go for we have to win the cup first season, because, like, just be realistic. Let's build a franchise from the bottom. You're building a franchise from the bottom up. Problem with going for a cup and going all in first season is you sacrifice building everything behind it. The draft picks and all that stuff. You give all that up to trade for players so that you can compete for the cup. And you don't want to do that. You want to, you know, use your draft picks, build your system, get a nice, big, robust system behind, you know, what you have in the NHL, and put a respectable NHL team out on the ice. And that would be the way to go. And based on looking at the franchise and the way they've been building with Ron Francis and everything, I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to do a lot of what Vegas did, but Vegas didn't go out there when they were selecting players in the draft. They didn't go out there and act like they were going to win the Stanley Cup. They went out there to put a respectable team on the ice, and it just so happened that it worked out really well for them.
Yep, I agree. I mean, we shouldn't be in the win now mode. We should definitely, you know, build the, you know, quote unquote farm system and get some young, hungry guys, and maybe 3 to 5 years down the road. I mean, really, you know, be competitors every year.
Yeah. And a lot like Vegas did. Like they acquired a bunch of draft picks, you know, for taking you know, players off of other teams' hands. I mean, that's a weapon. Like they say, it's weaponize your cap space, weaponize all that room you have in your organization. And that's what they're going to have to do, you know, do that, steal other people, you know, steal players from other teams, you know, you that's what you have to do. So I think I'm anxious to see, you know, what they do, because, you know, Vegas pulled it off, and I'm anxious to see what Francis can do as a GM. But you know, all signs, they're very progressive, and you know, this is another thing that I wrote about. They seem to be a very, very progressive organization. Like a lot of people of color, they're putting, you know, they're hiring very qualified females in the organization. Things that a lot of NHL teams, the old boys network, you know, these old men that don't want to hire, you know, people of color, different nationalities, you know, and females and stuff like that. A lot of teams aren't doing that, and they're starting to do it a little bit more because of the pressure. But Seattle went right out and did it, and they're embracing analytics, and you know, that's the 21st century. That's a 21st century hockey franchise. That's why I like this. You know, the Blackhawks are old. They're all old school. Everything's super old school. They're behind the curve on everything. I mean, they hired Kendall Coyne, but before all that, I mean, they're very much behind the curve on a lot of things. They didn't embrace the analytics as much as they had their head coach, Joe Quenneville. I love him, but I mean, he was, you know, down and dirty. Like, you know, he's not looking at some charts and graphs for sure. He's doing, you know, what he feels. So I like to see this new progressive thing happening, and I'm excited for it. I'm
I love
back and progressive myself, or at least I'd like to think I am. So I like to see what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, I love what they're doing. I mean, they're definitely doing things outside the norm, if you want to call it, from in NHL arena things. And, you know, like you said, there's a lot of females on board. There's a lot of, I mean, what's her name? Chanel Keenan. They just had like a disabled week, you know, how they, you know, they're very open to everyone. And I think, you know, the Kraken Crew. Yeah, definitely. And I'm all for it, man. And a lot of people, you know, there's the older generations I've gotten, when I post stuff about, you know, the Kraken are very, you know, analytic driven and all that. And they're like, oh, what, you know, I just want someone that skates fast and slap shot. Like, you gotta, I don't know, that very old school mentality. I mean,
well, that's kind of a there's just this analytics versus eye test thing. is a very it's a war. Like people post up on each side and there's nothing that meets in the middle. And I meet in the middle, to be honest with you. I've coached hockey. I've looked, I could use the eye test to see a player that I like and want them, in my organization or on my team or whatever. But that being said, if you can look at the analytical side of things and these new stats are coming up with and player tracking stuff, like that just adds a little bit on top of that. Maybe I look at a player and I think he looks great, but when you in game time situations, the analytics don't really support anything. So you kind of need a little bit of both. You really do. That's the way I believe it. You can't have too much information on players, and this just adds more information on top of it. It's not gonna. It doesn't mean the people who use the eye test for things doesn't mean that's gonna go away. But if analytics, if someone goes full in on analytics, I don't think that's going to be the way to go either. I think it just meets in the middle. Everyone should take all the pieces, put them together, and then make a decision instead of just saying, well, I'm just going to take this one piece and that's all I'm going to make my decision off of. That's silly. That's not smart.
No.
So that's my whole view on this. So
it's great that Ron Francis, has embraced that. And I think it'll be interesting, who the head coach is as well, how they feel about it and their mentality and how they see things. But hopefully, like you said, it'll be a nice balance between both.
I actually give some ideas of some, available head coaches that could be available. And some of them, I don't even think it's necessarily really going to happen, but I just threw the names out there. I'm not going to give who I want because it's kind of in the article, but, there are some big names out there for sure. Two very big names out there for sure. But those aren't the two that I would like. I think going progressive, being different, being a 21st century franchise. There's a guy that I would take on the Blackhawks because I don't like the Blackhawks head coach. I would take him as the Blackhawks head coach tomorrow. But I would love if the Kraken would hire him. He's not from America. I'm just going to say he's a European guy, but I think I think he fits a 21st century progressive analytic type franchise. So
I think they'll definitely they're going to do something that no one's, not that no one's expecting, but it's not going to be, there's a name floating around that maybe he can bring the same magic he did to Vegas, but I think they're going to go another direction and, someone else, that's for sure.
Yeah. Cause while it did work, it didn't, while it did work with him in Vegas, I don't know that it, with young players, I don't know it's always going to work. I don't know that you can't.
You can't expect. Yeah,
you can't always just move to another franchise and then all of a sudden the magic works. It's just like with Joel Quenneville. The magic worked here in Chicago. This doesn't mean it's going to work in Florida.
No.
And it hasn't really worked in Florida. Not to say that they're not having a little bit of success, but he's not winning 3 Stanley Cups in 6 years in Florida. It's just not going to happen. So that's not saying anything against Gerard Gallant, but I think
it's the same, kind of the same crowd that are, cup or nothing in the first year. It's like, relax.
Just calm down. Let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy the new team, the freshness of it. If you go too hard to the paint on this and oh my God, they lost 3 in a row. They're the worst team ever. I'm not going to watch them anymore. Like that's panicking. Be realistic and okay, they're going to probably lose 3 games in a row. They're probably going to, maybe they'll have just over 500 record. Okay, that's fine. Let's enjoy it. Let the brand new arena and the new logos and all the new swag they've got and how they look on the ice. And I'm sure they're going to have, a couple players that are all-star quality players and just enjoy that, embrace it and just get on the roller coaster and enjoy the ride. That's that's what I want to do. That's what everyone should do on this.
Definitely the first couple of years, man, I'm soaking it all in. I'm going to be right in the middle. Like, obviously I don't want to be at the bottom of the league, but I mean, like you said, walking into the arena for the first time, like, I might shed a tear. Like, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
So
that's great. I like to see what's going on up there. I'm glad the fans are supporting it. I mean, the fans did it in Winnipeg when they brought the team back, but like Vegas, they took it with open arms, and I see the same thing going on with Seattle. So that's good to see, and it's nothing but good for the NHL. Honestly, you could spread that out, and you look and see what happened in Arizona and how it grew the hockey program out there, and it grew the hockey program out in Arizona so much that you now have Austin Matthews in the NHL that grew up in Arizona because of the Arizona Coyotes liking hockey when maybe he might not have liked hockey. He may have played football, or he may have gone a different path. And Austin Matthews might not be one of the top stars of the NHL if it weren't for the Arizona Coyotes.
Right.
So that,
that's my main focus right now, is just, educating the people out here and trying to build that fan base up. And I think we'll be fine. They sold out this. I forgot how quickly they sold out the season tickets. It was some crazy number. And I don't think we'll have a problem with, as long as everyone doesn't overreact when they do bad. And, oh my God, they lost 4-0. Like, there's a lot of people, like, especially when Seahawks lose, fire Pete Carroll after a loss. It's like, really? Well, you guys need to chill.
Sorry. All right. Well, I think we've pretty much covered. You got anything else you want to cover? You want to go, plug any more of your stuff?
No, just, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, Reddit. But I just want to say I appreciate you for reaching out. Mm-hmm. This isn't like my first, doing this podcast live video type of thing. So I probably came off a little weird. I don't know, but I'll definitely be more comfortable, and I'll be looking forward to doing another one down the road. That's for sure.
No, you did great. You're doing great. Trust me. We're all a little rough around the edges. I'm not a professional broadcaster, so none of us are. We're just kind of doing this, for fun and just because we love doing it. So, well, I'm going to wrap things up a little bit here. So, last plugs, puckhockey.com. You can see here, puckhockey.com, puckhockey.com. Go over there, get yourself some Christmas stuff. Throw a rink hat in there, throw a rink t-shirt or a hoodie in there. It's really good quality stuff. I posted it on the Rink's Instagram page. I just went out and bought a whole bunch of stuff, Christmas gifts for people. I didn't get it for free. I bought it. I went out there and I bought it. Use the discount code The-Rink, THERINK. You get 10% off. If you spend $100, you get a free t-shirt, some little tchotchkes things. And if you spend over $200, I think you get free shipping. Which you can very easily do, because some of those jerseys, those metal themed jerseys, are a little bit pricey, but the quality is excellent. So they're well worth it. So yeah, with all that, you can find all my comprehensive content on www.the-rink.com. And you can find me on all the social medias, The Rink Official, The Rink Shy, all that stuff. The Rink Seattle, that's where this is going to appear. Kraken Hostel is this podcast. That's where it's going to appear. The Rinkcast. If you get a chance, head over, rate and review us on Twitter. This is brand new, first episode. So rate and review us. Give us a 5-star review and write a little something nice about us, whether you liked us or whether you didn't like us. But yeah, so all that being said, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedules to download, listen, and support us. Until next episode, see you on the rink.